Hello everyone, hi, how are you guys doing? Welcome back to another episode of The Expanse Reaction. This is Hardline, my name is Matt. Okay, so previous episode was a banger. A lot happened in that one. It was very action packed. I said the episode was actually, it felt longer than it was because there was so much stuff in it. Okay, what exactly happened? We had close quarters battle inside of the Donager. So the Donager got essentially it got attacked, and then it was boarded by r- unknown ships that had very high tech technology, including railguns on small ships, which nobody knew that could happen apparently. Like the Donager had a railgun, but the Donager was like this big ass ship, so uh, the fact that they were attacked by small battleships that also had railguns, it was a little bit like what? They didn't know what that was about. But okay, the Donager got attacked by that, and they lost. They lost. There were they had people board the ship. Um, I don't know what for. Actually, that's something I didn't think about until right now. I don't know why they boarded the ship. I don't know what they wanted. I mean, I guess the Donager could have a lot of like good intel on Mars or something. So maybe that's why. Maybe Holden is now a BIP. I mean, he's already a BIP because he's like the only person that can maybe try to stop this giant like political hellscape that is about to happen or is already happening, because he's the one that started it. So maybe that, but maybe he's also someone that matters to these people. But we don't really know what their deal is. We don't know anything about this group. We don't know if they're a group or what. You know, all we know is that they have super high tech. They just randomly show up. They blew up the scopuli. I almost said Scalipi, and I was about to upset a lot of people, and then think of JoJo. But okay, they blew up the scopuli. We don't know why. They seem to want to frame Mars. That is an assumption, though. It might not be real, but let's mention it. And then they showed up and attacked the Donager, boarded it, and then the Donager self-destructed at the end of the episode. So they're gone. Um, and they seem to have taken all of this, everyone on that group with them. We don't know about that though, but let's say they did because it was a big ass explosion. Um, and okay, most importantly, what does this mean for our main characters? So, Holden kind of didn't do shit except tell Captain Yao, was that her name? Yeah, she doesn't matter anymore. She's dead. But he told her, "I know those ships. Those are the ships that destroyed this copuli." So then she's like, "Okay, we gotta keep you safe because you're the only person that can testify what's going on, and fucking so that the world can know." I say the world, the galaxy can know. Okay, so that's what we have. So that was his role. Uh, then regarding Naomi, Alex, Amos, and what used to be Shed, they were just trapped in this room that they were just waiting in essentially, and Alex started having a panic attack, and then everything just went super calm because Shed lost his head and we lost all air in the room, and then I said this already. I want to say it again. Alec is fucking lucky that he is like sitting next to like the two most capable people in the galaxy, in the form of Naomi and Amos, because Naomi, she saw shit's head fucking blow the fuck up in the most visceral way possible, and her immediate reaction was like block the things, just like block the holes, air is going off away, fucking immediately jump in and start working on it in order to like save it, you know? So she's immediately doing that shit, and that was really good. and Amos is immediately like, got it, because Amos is the tough guy that actually like does whatever Naomi says. But not only that, like it seems that he kind of doesn't give a shit about a lot of things, not in like a bad way, not in an evil way, but in like a, yeah, that didn't affect him seeing Shed's head. And I actually did notice that, like, as soon as Shed's head blew up, he looked at Naomi immediately. Like he did it. He wasn't looking at Shed. He looked at her, because he was like, "Oh shit, maybe something happened to her." And then after he assessed that that happened, he's like, "All right, we're good," you know. So the fact that Alex was sitting next to like the person that was immediately like solve the problem, and the guy who is like, "Yeah, I don't care. I'm gonna solve the problem," saved his fucking life, because Alex just kind of sit there like, fuck. And honestly, that's not even something to blame him for, because like I said, the two most capable person in the galaxy. Like everyone else that I can think of would have freaked the fuck out and died as a result. So there you go. I just want to say that, like, that's really good. It's really good that we have established characters enough to the point where um I can talk about them in this sense. Um Alex is the one that kind of freaks the fuck out. Like he has like two or three moments where he's done so already. He's very tense sometimes. Naomi is the one that is like super smart, and she's also like very capable and just like, all right, gotta fix shit. Like in a situation of like shit is happening, she is the one that is like, all right, shut up, let's fix it, let's work on what we can actually do. Let's not dwell too much on what we can't change. Let's focus on what we can do in order to make the situation the best we can, which is really good. And Amos is the guy that he's like, he doesn't give a shit, and he'll just do whatever he can in order to like fix the problem too. Mostly because he's like, Naomi is like, she comes up with a plan and he's like, got it, and he just does it, no problem. So it's like, this is a good team we got going on. That was a good duo we got going on with the two of those. And Alex was like, not to say that he was dead weight, because he actually like, I think he like reached for the thing in order to seal, and then he threw it to Naomi. So it was like, okay, he did something. But initially, he just froze there in his chair. Well, the other two actually just stood up and went like, we gotta solve this. So that was pretty good. All right. So that happened. Can I get an F in the comments for Shed again? Shed was dope. I miss Shed. But anyway, so that happened, and at the end of the episode, Holden comes to them and like opens the door. They get air. They survive, and then they all run towards like another ship, kind of like a rocket-looking ship, and they get in there alongside, I think his name was Lopez. I'm not sure. It's this one dude from the Mars people, who kind of resents Earthers for not appreciating Earth. Okay, so we got him also with him, but I have a theory he's just gonna die, because I feel like he doesn't matter anymore, or he could just not matter anymore, but he could, I don't know. They got away from the Donager before it self-destructed, and that's where the episode ended. So that's what happened to our main crew. Then we got Miller. We got Miller and Havelock, who apparently is not dead. He could die. Like, they could do this thing where they bring him back so then he can die in a hospital or whatever, some bullshit like that. In front of Miller. They could do that. But I think he's back for sure. Like, I think he's actually back, because it's like, we impaled him. He's dead. And then it's like, all right, never mind that. He's alive. He's totally alive. And it's like, all right, fuck you. If you flip flop again, then I'm gonna stop caring about this show. Okay. If you flip flop again, I'm gonna stop caring, because it's like, all right, we have no rules. Shed's gonna come back at the finale for sure. Like that's, if you do that, then that's the route I'm gonna go in. But anyway, Miller discovered, and I'm actually gonna bring up something real quick. Miller discovered this guy named Busy, he seems to have have been found dead during the riots in episode 3, and then he was looking into him, and they were looking at all these people, um, that were in Busy's house essentially, or apartment or whatever, and they were looking at a screen where Busy was in, and he was like, "Oh, Busy's dead," and then everyone goes like, "He's not dead. He's there. He's the guy on the screen." And then apparently, and I didn't really understand what was going on, but somebody explained it to me. The guy in the morgue was a data broker who had a black mark and implant that fools cops, that gives a false skin ID. All right, so that's it. I suddenly understood everything with that one sentence. So I was like trying to figure out what was going on, but what as it turns out is that it's like that dude was just someone that kind of looked like him, you know, and apparently he had this tech that that allowed him to, whenever they scan him to figure out who he is, it gives the scan false information alongside with information taken from a different person that is a lookalike. That's pretty good tech. It's tech that allows you to deceive the cops by giving them information of someone that looks like you. That's weird, but all right. That's actually pretty good. So that's really good. Okay, that's funny though because they explain that. Like I remember them explaining that, but it just didn't get through my head. And that's funny because I understand things that the show doesn't explain, and when the show does explain it, I don't understand it. So that's how I work. So that happened. That's what they told me at least, and now everything makes sense. So that dead guy was someone that didn't that wasn't the person Miller was looking for. That was Busy, and Busy was the guy who was like doing the like chip thing. But most importantly, they got information from this one dead guy who, like, judging by the fact that he did have all of this tech in order to deceive people, I think that they were assuming on the idea that he had high, like, really important information on him because he was like a data broker or something like that. So he, even though he's not the person Miller was looking for, he turns out that he's probably going to be important. And whatever data they extracted from his leg thing is also probably going to be important. So, yeah, I just wanted to address that because I just didn't understand for shit what was going on in the episode before that. But now I do. I think. Okay. He looks back to life. I cannot believe he's back to life. And then we saw Christian. She was looking at like a meteor shower or a starfall or something. That was the end of that. And I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was it. So, all right. I think we're ready to just start episode 5. So yeah, without further ado, we should just go for it. I've been talking for like 15 minutes. Fuck it, let's go. All right, so The Expanse Season 1, Episode 5. Let's go.
Get those sensors pointed toward the Doniger.
Yeah, this guy. What the fuck was the deal with this guy?
Have luck. You don't listen. I told you. I said keep your head down, keep your eyes open.
But what can he do against a 1 versus 4?
Put it on my tab, huh?
You don't know what you're talking about, Miller.
Oh, he thinks
She's been teaching me.
she's a hooker. Well, she is, but she's been teaching him.
You think all this is gonna help you? Man, the next spike's gonna go right through your skull.
Coming from a real fountain of police wisdom. Look the other way. Take your bribe. Do as little as possible.
Hey, you see any extra holes in me, pal?
He was brave for come check on me.
You think she cares about you? What's the name of the scumbag that paid you to lure him down to Medina so they could jam up a cop?
Passion falls on me.
Come on, me without my wallet. Bad.
Amos was shot in the leg, and I think the Mars dude, Lopez, he was pretty fucked up too. Where's Alex? Yeah, he was shot in the leg. Yeah, continuity.
Enough sleep, princess?
It's really bad.
Damn it, just hold him still.
That's the bone, is it? Just straight up coming out. Have something to bite.
Oh, Jesus.
Patch him up.
I'm not shit. I don't know what I'm doing.
Neither did he.
Just give him a shot.
All right.
Whatever you say, bro.
Scope's clear. I shut down the drive and the transponder as soon as we cleared the debris field. And right now, we're just a tumbleweed and piece of scrap metal.
So as far as we know, nobody made it off the Dodge.
Correct.
And no one knows that we're alive.
That's right.
That's pretty good.
Then who just sent us a message?
Never mind that. 11 years. Okay. Never mind. Never mind everything. What the fuck are we looking at then?
Emerson Station, this is UN-1. Are you ready to surrender? Survivors of
God
the
damn it.
Dodger. My name is Fred Johnson, Director of Operations.
Yeah, it is this
at
guy.
Echo Station. I don't know who you are or what your intent may be, but unless you're trying to start a war, you need to contact me. I can help you.
Okay.
He shouldn't have been able to track us, but he did. We're the only survivors from the Canterbury and the Doniger.
So.
We look like terrorists.
Yeah.
No one's gonna believe our story. I wouldn't believe us. Fred Johnson just offered us a lifeline. I say we take it.
I don't trust this guy though, so I don't know.
Going to Tycho.
You got any other ideas?
You can't trust Fred Johnson. We all know what he's capable of.
That was like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Stop talking about stuff that you know nothing about. Because
She almost spilled the beans.
we're not going anywhere.
We're just gonna stay here and die. Okay, so what happened 11 years ago then? Oh, the video is just out then. People are just spreading that shit then.
His name's Filat Kotari. Loka Griga na.
Oh, never mind. I thought it was like social media shit. Well, it might be.
Luckily, this asshole's not OPA.
So fuck it up!
You know, everything going on out there, all this shitstorm that we're in, it's all got to do with her. Julie Mao.
Okay, I'm listening.
It had an unregistered flight path for a ship called the Anubis. The Anubis left Phoebe Research Station and it was headed for Eros.
Did it say Phoebe?
Now, maybe something's being transported on this ship. I'm thinking Julie's ship was sent out to intercept it. And then,
Okay.
suddenly, ships start blowing up. The Canterbury, the Doniger. It's gotta be connected. Something worth spilling a lot of blood over.
Some blue shit, maybe.
Maybe this is above your pay grade.
Yeah, I can see it.
You need to take this upstairs.
What she means is that you're probably gonna die.
We're not soldiers.
If we surrender now, it's as good as killing our own children.
What was that? They're taking out the generators.
So I'm gonna assume the UN person that he was talking to is the black guy that we saw in previous episode and on this episode. Lopez, yeah. I got something right. Why give air to this body bag? Sounds like a waste of air, honestly.
I always back your play because you always do the right thing. But usually I can figure out why.
It's not the place, it's the man.
Fred Johnson? You know him?
I've
That
known
was what
guys
you know.
like him. Guys with causes that get people killed.
So where should we go?
Coffee. He was so happy. Oh, out of beans?
Tell Fred Johnson to clear us a berth. We're good to go.
You talked Naomi into it.
With our track record, we'll probably get Tycho blown to smithereens too.
Oh, hey.
Whatever the detectives drinking.
Right away, Mr. Dos.
Nothing for me.
Street trash and radical factions are not OPA. Right now, the OPA controls most of the grid's air, power, water, the very lifeblood of the station.
And if the Earthers don't play nice.
All we've ever known is low G and an atmosphere we can't breathe. Earthers, Get to walk outside into the light. Breathe pure air. Look up at a blue sky and see something that gives them hope. And what do? They look past that light, past that blue sky. They see the stars, and they think, mine. Call it, and you'll get Fila Kothari's location. Julimar was one of ours. I want to find out what happened to her just as much as you do.
Not so sure about this one, Chief.
That's why we need to surrender.
This is being recorded by cameras, by the way. Like, I just noticed. This is found footage shit.
Show Daddy house manual. Okay?
So all of these people are dead, by the way. That's what I fully expected right away, you know? And Fred Johnson's gonna be the guy that, like, kills them, essentially. Just decides, fuck it, we're just gonna nuke all of you.
Police officers were hurt and dozens were arrested as
They're gonna see the video, hey, vlog.
It all centers on accusations that the Martian government was
Yeah.
responsible for the destruction
Yeah, we
of
got this.
Canterbury as a mere industrial accident. And at the
Can't be. Hey, I just tucked into a feed from Ganymede, and hey, when you sent that message to Fred Johnson, you didn't give him names or anything, did you? No, of course not. Well, partner, it's gonna be kind of hard for you to stay anonymous now.
Yeah. His face is in the signs, dude.
Your face look a little different.
Did you just kick him in the dick?
You know her.
You never asked the girl down at the docks if she was looking for some drilling work?
That's the last stupid thing you get to say to me during this interview.
After 2 days down at the aid camp, I begged Julie to get out of there, but she said she was okay. She said she felt safe. She stayed down in the mines, breathing the same poison air as those belters, eating the same contaminated food. She was helping kids who lost their parents, folks who were choking on the blood in their lungs. I never saw her shed a tear over the fact that she had to take anti-cancer meds for the rest of her life.
Scapulac started that whole mess out there.
Why tell him this?
Jesus Christ.
You were trying to stop her from getting involved in something ugly. I want to know what it was.
She was hanging around some hardcore OPA.
Like?
Anderson Dawes. You don't understand, Julie.
She went out there, probably got herself killed over some stupid cause she barely understood anyway.
Command, we surrender. Do you copy? Everyone's ready. They're not listening. If we have a voice, we can still be heard. How? There's an auxiliary tight beam transmitter mounted on Toro 5. I think it's just outside of their jamming range. I should be able to relay the station's camera footage and broadcast out.
And that's what we saw. That's what we've been seeing, the camera footage. And we're just gonna let the world know of what's going on. So this won't be an internal conflict again.
The miners working for the Anderson Hyosung Corporation took control of the station in an effort to protest the treatment of our children.
Okay. They're gonna get blown the fuck off live on camera. Yeah. Make it as terrible as possible.
She and
this is gonna be bad.
Brain injury. It's due to the low oxygen working environments. She got it when she came to live here with me.
Boom. A laser beam memento mori ass shit is coming.
And for that, I am sorry.
And the world's just gonna see that.
We have tried repeatedly to surrender to the UN Marines, but we just wanted to be heard for the sake of our children.
Alright. There we go. Are we gonna see the body floating on space? The remaining of the bodies. And the guy who shot this was Fred Johnson, wasn't it?
All terrorists have been subdued. Well done, Colonel. Well done.
Fred Johnson. The butcher of Anderson Station. Fred Johnson. That's it. Alright. Okay, do I see regret in his
My
face?
solemn promise that you will not be harmed, and you will be granted safe harbor on Tycho.
It would be some shit if they all just
We need to
blew
give
up
the
and
ship a
died
new
on
name
episode
to
5.
complete the override.
Screaming Firehawk. Yeah, let's advertise that we're a gunship. Flying Alamo. No.
Give me something, please.
Rocinante. Huh? It's Spanish for
Workhorse. I like it. I know a lady named Rocinante. She was good to me.
Alright, we didn't blow up. Where's the Rocinante now? So I'm looking at fucking Rocinante on Wikipedia because that ain't no Spanish I've ever heard of. And apparently that's the name of Don Quixote's horse. And then the ship. Those are the only results for the word Rocinante. Because, bro, that ain't common Spanish, man. That's Don Quixote. That's a name in Don Quixote. That's all it is. Miller is getting himself into some deep shit. Like, he's finding stuff out. But whenever we have a dude who... Okay, I forgot to say this earlier because some shit was happening. But the fact that he laid out all the information to the other woman that works as a police woman or whatever investigator, the fact that he relayed the information to her means that now he can die. Because now one of them can die and the other one can carry over with the investigation. I've seen this before. So now the fact that he's getting himself like super deep into this shit makes me worry. The rat that you saw in the apartment then was a cyborg then. Well, a robot. Which probably means that rat herd knew what you were looking into. Well, no, but that means that that rat then spied everything that Julie Mao ever did because he was at her house. Is he gonna listen to music or... Coffee! I think it's like legitimately the only time as a whole that ever smile. It's when this motherfucker saw that there was a coffee machine and then when you found the actual coffee bean. What's your deal? Are you back on Julie's house? Yeah, the mouse. Oh, but now you have all the information that the mouse recorded. Okay, so what's going down now? Alright. There we go. People are seeing this, but nobody's gonna do anything. Alright. Oh, that's the end. Okay, then. Sure. Okay, so I'm gonna have to skim through this episode as well. Because a lot happens. Every of these episodes, every single one of these episodes, a lot happens in it. Okay, so I mentioned it briefly, but I'm concerned about Miller now. Because the thing about Miller is that, like, I think that having a character that is gonna do stuff only for that stuff to not matter is probably not something they're gonna go for. Because that doesn't make any sense from, like, a storytelling point of view. I mean, I guess it would in order to show us. But then if that thing is not gonna have any impact, then it loses kind of its purpose. Like, okay. But the thing about Miller is that, like, when he had this moment when he talked to the other lady, I don't know her name. I don't think I've written that one down, and even if I did, I don't know which one was hers. People are gonna tell me. But the other woman that is also an investigator with Miller, that apparently they have a history together. That was heavily implied. But so the fact that Miller told her pretty much everything he found out, except for what he found out this episode, which was like, following that good one guy, said what he did, that other guy that was in a relationship with Julie Mao, and when he knew about Julie, and the thing that he told him about Julie, and then the mouse thing, All of that she doesn't know. But everything else from episode 1 to 4, she does know. Which means that when that happened, I was like, okay, Miller can die now. Because before that, I was like, he's probably not gonna. Because, like, they have to go somewhere with him. Now that he has relayed the information to someone else, he can die. Now he can just die. That's fine. And I've seen this before already, by the way. Like, this is not a new thing that happens in storytelling, where a character dies after they told another character about the information that they discovered, and then that character carries the torch. I've seen this already. So, when he did that, I was like, okay, I wasn't worried about this character, now I am. Now I 100% am. Especially since Havelock came back. Because, like, now that Havelock is back, I'm just like, okay, one of you has to die. Like, someone in this section of the story in the belt has to die, you know? And it could be Havelock, but I think he's the one I would expect to die the least, because he's already died, and then he didn't. So, and the other woman hasn't had, like, anything she's done yet. So I think Miller is the one that I would put first for dying first on the chopping block. Especially now with this ending. This episode. Like, when we cut from Miller to Miller, you know, like, we had him in the room looking at the mouse and putting the chip on. I don't know if he put it in his head or what, but, like, yeah, he kept the chip with him with the information and all that. And then that scene cut into another scene with Miller, and he was walking out, just chilling. I'm just like, okay, something's gonna happen. And it did. I was expecting him to get impaled and just... No, they already did that with Havelock, so no, not impaled. I was expecting him to just get fucking shot in the back, and then somebody in the middle of a crowd and nobody would notice, and then he's just gonna die. I was expecting something like that. But no, they just took him hostage. They just put a bag on his head and just fucking tased him, and then, no, you're out. You're coming with us. So, better than expected. Still pretty bad. So, Miller's out. Sure. Okay. That's that section of the story. He found out a lot of stuff. We also learned a little bit about Julie Mao. Apparently, she was a saint. Like, she was, like, the nicest, kindest person ever. She was just great. Like, she felt really strongly about, like, Belters and Belter culture and diseases and everything that they had to suffer through by just living in their environment that they live in. And she didn't mind giving up on her own life expectancy in order to go help them out. You know, it's like, yeah, it seems like she was great. So, sure, we learned that about her. So that's good to know. Because she's just been this mysterious character we know nothing about, but now we do. So that's great. Okay, that one guy was in a relationship with her, and he tried to stop her from doing so, but she wouldn't have any of it, and she just kept going. So, yeah, apparently Yuli Mao seems to give this, they gave us this, like, picture of a character who is a character with strong conviction and strong ideals, and also kind of doesn't give a shit, and she's just gonna do whatever she wants to do. Whatever she feels is right is also doing what she's gonna do. But, yeah, like, she's just gonna see something that she wants to do, and she's just gonna go for it. And these are usually good things, but it's also recklessness. So, you know, that. Okay, so that's what we learned on that side of the story. There was also a scene at the beginning with Miller and Havelock, where Miller saw him in the hospital, and he was like, "You fucking dumbass, I told you to be careful." And then he saw the other lady, and he was like, "Oh." So he was, like, thinking that she was, like, a prostitute or a companion or whatever. And then Havelock was like, no, she's teaching me. And then they did, like, a signs talking Belter language shit. And then Miller was like, you think that's gonna matter? You think that's gonna make a difference? To which Havelock replies, well, at least I am trying to do something instead of just, like, fucking taking bribes and just not doing shit. which is fair. To which Miller replies, well, at least I don't have a hole in my body. Well, no, that's not true. To which Miller said, well, at least I don't have a hole in my chest, which is also fair. So it's like, yeah. So Miller is like, but then the woman said like, what did she say? She said something like he was brave or something like that. It was brave of him to come check on me. No one else in the police comes to that region, something like that. And then Miller accuses her of selling Havelock in. And then she gets upset at him. Did she slap him? She tried to, and then Miller stopped her. She just literally started fighting right there. So I understand both of the places we're standing right there, because she clearly cares about Havelock a lot. They probably have a thing. Miller also cares about Havelock. Maybe not to a special degree, but he does care, you know? Like, he just cares about people, so he cares about him. And he just got impaled. So it's like, well, shit. Now I care a lot. So now I'm gonna do the tough love act, which is how I'm gonna approach this, how I approach things. And I'm just gonna say, hey, dumbass, don't do dumb shit, be more careful. Which is ironic, considering the end of the episode, right? But he's like, fucking be more careful, whatever. And then he lashes out on her and on him, because it's like, you dumbass, you weren't careful, you're doing dumb shit. She sold you out, probably. And he's just like being like super defensive over everything, which is fair, because I assume that's kind of an approach you have to take in order to survive here, which takes us back to the line of, you don't see any extra holes in me, right? You know, so it's like, this is the Miller approach that he does in order to not get impaled and for things to be generally okay. Havelock, on the other hand, cares enough to actually try to learn the language, try to learn the signs. He's putting in an effort, and we actually saw him trying to put in an effort on like episode 1 and other episodes. He's been trying to learn, because I believe he's new here. I believe he's new here in the Belters, and he's from Earth, so it's like, I'm trying to understand better. But that's not doing anything here, you know? So he is being naive in his belief and what he's doing, and she is on his side because she's like, Havelock is cool as shit, which he seems to be. He seems to be a pretty cool guy. But then Miller is like, but that's gonna get you killed though, which is also a fair point to stand in. So it's like, okay, I get this scenario, I get the situation going on here. So, alright, both of them care, it's just that they have a different approach. And both of their approaches are fair. Okay, so I think that's enough. We can talk about that. That was just a nice thing that I wanted to mention. So, okay. So Holden, Naomi, Amos, and Alex all survived. Lopez died. I figured he would die. I feel like he already died on the previous episode. This was just a confirmation of his death. So, he's dead. But in this episode, we have the 4 of them just floating through space in what appears to be the rest of the universe. Just a chunk of dead metal, like a dead ship. Like, nobody knows that they're an actual working ship. So, that's great. But then they got a message from Fred Johnson. Is that his name? Fred Johnson. So, Colonel Fred Johnson, former UN Marine Corps, the butcher of Anderson Station. Gotcha. So there you go. That's a fun character to introduce with Fred Johnson. I do want to say though, he looks like he didn't mean to do that shit. Well, he did it, or like not necessarily he didn't mean to do that, but like he when after he did it, he saw the consequence. He saw all the dead bodies just floating around, and he's just like, "Holy shit, I did that," you know. I don't know. They weren't clear about it, so but that could be it. He could be regretful, remorseful over that. We don't know that because we don't know him very well, but we might know him, get to know him a little bit better now, because he's apparently entering the plot. But we'll see. So, Fred Johnson, the butcher of Anderson Station. So that's interesting. Like we have our ship floating through space. Nobody knows we're alive. Nobody knows we're a ship, but we got a message, and that message is from the guy that murdered an entire station live on stream. You know, just like they sent all the footage, they were streaming the footage to the station, and that one guy just fucking killed all of them. You know, while the guy was holding the kid in his hand, he was like, "Oh, he's my kid. What up? We're all a bunch of nice workers here, nice happy people with our families here." And then bam, we're all dead. And it's this guy. He killed all of us, you know? Makes sense that he's like OPA now, because it's like I was super legit. Like UN Marine Corps, so it was United Stations. And then that shit happens on public. And then it's like, okay, you're not legit anymore. You have to become a terrorist. That's like your only work path now. You have to become an OPA dude, apparently. So that's Fred Johnson. Sure. We still don't know much about him. We only got the backstory, but we don't know anything about him right now, aside from the scene we got in the previous episode. But he sends a message to the... What the fuck was the name? It's a terrible name. But let's listen to it. Not listen to it. Let me look it up already, because I googled it earlier, because I was like, that sounds terrible. The Rocinante. Yeah. So I googled what the fuck that is, because like Holden said it, and I was like, that sounds Spanish, but that's not a word I know of. And then I googled it because I was like, I'm not gonna doubt the show, but also I don't know this word. And apparently, okay, Rocinante is Don Quixote's horse in Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. In many ways, Rocinante is not only Don Quixote's horse, but also his double. Like Don Quixote, he's awkward, past his prime, and engaged in a task beyond his capacities. So, alright, Rocin in Spanish means a workhorse, or a low-quality horse, but can also mean an illiterate or rough man. There are similar words in French, Portuguese, Italian. The etymology is uncertain. The name is a complex pun. In Spanish, ante has several meanings and can function as a standalone, whereas with a suffix meaning before, previously. Yeah, I get that. Okay, I get it now. Rocin is weird though, because that sounds like a Spain Spanish word. Okay, in case you don't know, Spain Spanish, very different from every single other Latin American version of Spanish. And while we're at it, every single Latin American version of Spanish is very different to the other Latin American versions of Spanish. They're all weird. So, me understanding base Spanish does not help when we're talking about regional Spanish, especially if it's Spain. So, yeah, I didn't get that name, that pun, that joke, everything about that. But now that I looked it up, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So it did help a little bit. If anything, it allows me for me to pronounce it correctly. But people are gonna say that I don't. My answer to that is, fuck you, I speak Spanish. So Rocinante it is. So in short, Rocinante means shitty old ship. Or no, it would mean used to be a shitty old ship. Now it's new. Like that's what it means, isn't it? You know, like, because yeah, if we follow by the etymology from what I just read, Rosine would mean that it's like a shitty, barely working thing. But the fact that you say Rosinan, well, no, because the ante, if you use it as a prefix, it means that it used to be shitty. But if you use it at the end, it's an incrementation of the original word, Spanish. So Rocinante would mean, this shit sucks. This ship is the worst. That's what Rocinante means. This is a bad ship. Alright, so that's the name of it. This ship sucks. I like that. I like a ship that just sucks. Oh, and by the way, okay, so something I learned is that, like, give me a second. I need to Google this real quick just to make sure. Okay, so here's the deal, though, is that I've seen in comments and other shit, people refer to, like, the being fans of the show as, like, the Screaming Farhawks. I have to say, yeah, there's, like, merch and shit of, like, the logo and, like, another, like, a phone case and shit. But that's entirely purely fandom, isn't it? That's stupid. That's really dumb. Because it's really dumb because it's a throwaway line that fucking Alex just throws out. He just says, they go, okay, what's the name for a ship? Screaming Farhawk. No, that sucks. Moving on. Like, it's just that fucking random ass name throwaway line. And for some reason, people latched onto that. That's stupid. That's unbelievably stupid. It's great though. So, okay, good job on doing stupid shit. I'm glad that happened. Okay, so now I know the origin of that name. It's really dumb, but okay, we'll roll with it. You know, we'll roll with Screaming Farhawks, I guess. Why couldn't we stick to the other one, the better one? And by better one, I mean it was worse. Oh, I literally just clicked right into the Flying Alamo. There we go. Flying Alamo. We should have just stick with Flying Alamo. That's great. It sounds so bad. None of those are good. Flying Alamo. Let's go. Okay. Focus. We need to talk about what actually happened. So we get invited by the butcher of, I wasn't gonna say Skull Moon. That's a different show. The butcher of Anderson Station. And he goes like, no, you're gonna be totally fine though. And if you don't want shit to go down worse than it is, please come in. We'll help you out. Follow these instructions, whatever. He seemed to be pretty sincere about it. Don't trust him though. Because, like, okay, so don't trust nobody in this show. Like, whenever stakes are like this and people are assholes, and this guy is also a big boy known terrorist who is also a guy with the actual title of the Butcher of Anderson Station that has killed children live on stream. He goes like, hey, come over here. We got candy. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna love it. It's like, yeah, I'm not sure about that. You know, I'm not sure. But they all voted for, yeah, let's go in there. Here's the thing though. They did show us that after all the people died, and he was looking at their corpses just floating around, he was like wide-eyed, and it was like, they didn't elaborate too much on that scene. They didn't show us a lot, but that makes me think maybe he didn't mean to blow up all those people. Maybe it was an accident, but maybe actually it was, because like, here's the thing: is that they surrendered. And then no, they didn't get a reply. They didn't get any response. So what makes me think is that like maybe the comms broke. Maybe they literally broke. They didn't get the surrender information. And so they, by the time that they just shot them, like they just waited it out, and then they just shot them because it's like they're not making any change, and we warned them enough times, and I'm literally getting told, hey, you gotta shoot them because like it's been like, I don't know, a week. I don't know at the time they said, I think it was a couple of days, I don't know, but like it's been X amount of time. We warned them enough times, we gave them a deadline. They said they didn't give a surrender, so fuck it, let's just kill them. But they did give the surrender, but the comms weren't working. Maybe something like that, or I don't know. Maybe something like that happened. We just don't know about it. That's what I was thinking. Well, he was giving the surrender, and then they weren't getting any reply. I was thinking, well, it could be a thing of they're just ignoring you, but it could also be a thing of like maybe there's a malfunction. Maybe the message just didn't reach, and so that could be a thing. I'm trying to make excuses for the guy known as the Butcher of Anderson Station, but like, the other reason why I'm saying that is because like the fact that the show goes out of its way to name the episode Back to the Butcher, introduce his character as the Butcher of Anderson Station, show us how he's killed like hundreds of people, including women and children, that are just workers doing a protest. Not even an aggressive protest. They're just saying like, no, we're not gonna work because we want our children to not get cancer. And then he just murders them live on stream. It's one of those things where it's like, this show might be trying a little too hard to just give us a lot of information regarding this character without meeting the character, in order to put us in a specific frame of mind for whenever we have to deal with that character, which is a negative frame of mind, you know? So until I do not get to see the character and hear the character and maybe get some kind of personal thing with the character, not necessarily a conversation with him and someone else, because he could be lying, but a scene where we actually get to see him do things or say things and think about things on its own when it's more sincere, then I might start believing some stuff for real regarding Fred Johnson. But as it is right now, I don't have any concrete information in order to come up with, is this guy an asshole? Is he alright? I don't know. Because they literally just didn't get to show us. They didn't show us why he blew up that station. They didn't show us like how that led up to that. Like, they didn't show us him saying like, we're gonna blow you up. Fuck you. You know? So it wasn't antagonistic. We just got told that he was there. And I think they said like, good job, Kono. But that doesn't really tell me much. Yeah, he gets a well done, Kono. That's it. So, okay. Yeah, we don't get to see how that led up to that. So I don't know if I can trust it because they literally don't show me. I don't know what he's doing right now because they literally don't show me. So they're not showing me scenes with this actual character being himself and like showing me what his motives or what he's doing or his belief, his ideals, whatever his goal is in the show, whatever the point of this character is. They don't show me any of that. Meaning that I cannot possibly say this guy is an asshole, this guy is alright, I don't know. I literally don't know. Because they didn't show me anything. But it looks like the show is making me try to think that this guy is an asshole because he murdered all those people. And he probably did. Like, I'm not gonna say he didn't. But the sequence of events that led up to that happening aren't being shown to me. Could have been an accident. Could have been a miscommunication. We don't know. Could have been an order that came from above and he just executed it. And then the person above just fucking washed their hands and then he took the brunt of it. That could be it. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know the behind the scenes. So, Fred Johnson, I don't know if I can trust this guy. I have no idea. I'm inclining towards no, just because I naturally don't trust anyone here. But it could be alright. Could. I'm not saying will. I'm saying could. Because I don't know. You know? So that's how I feel about Fred Johnson, the butcher of Anderson Station. Anderson. We have a character whose last name is Anderson, isn't it? First name is Anderson. Anderson Dawes. Does he have anything to do with that station? Like, I thought Anderson was familiar, and I was like, am I crazy? No, Anderson Dawes is actually a thing. So Julie Mao was in cahoots with Anderson Dawes, and that came to me as a reveal. But then it's like, no, it wasn't. Like, we knew that they were hanging out together. But Anderson Dawes really looks to me like a character that is such a piece of shit, but he's playing his cards right, and he knows so much more than he lets on. That's it. That's how I feel about Anderson Dawes. Like, listen, my boy Valery Legasov is the shit. He's great, but in this show, he might be an asshole. He gives me that impression. So I don't know. He gives me the impression of someone that is like very smart and knows how to play his cards very well, but is an asshole. So, that's what I feel about him. I like how Miller didn't know how to pronounce Anubis. Anubis. Why did he say it? Anubis? No, what? How did he say it? Anuvi. I don't know. I don't know how he said it, but he was struggling how to pronounce it. And I like that because fuck word pronunciations. I'm just gonna say words, and if people care too much about the specific words, then fuck it. There's things more important that you should worry about first. So the robot mouse. Fuck, I don't even know if the robot mouse was in the reaction highlight for episode 1, because that's one of the things that it's like, that shit didn't matter at all, but then it turns out that it did. And it's like, wow, fuck you, show. Fuck you, show, for like showing me tiny bits of shit that look like things that don't matter at all. And then it turns out, that mouse was a robot. And the robot was registering all information while he was in this house. And it's gonna become a vital plot point in the show. And it's like, fuck you, how am I supposed to know that shit? That sounds like you're trying too hard. Honestly. A little bit. Tiny bit, But okay. That's fun. But sure. I don't know what to say about that, other than Miller got taken with that information on him. And I'm putting a lot of money in the fact that he might die. Maybe not right now. But I don't know, maybe this season, he won't make it past this season. Maybe that could be it. He could die at the end of the season. That could be a thing. Like, end of season stinger. They could do that. So, alright. I like when the fucking Rocinante crew. I like when the Rocinante crew fucking found out about the canned protests on the belt. I like that because, like, initially I was like, how did they not see it earlier? Because they were watching TV and shit. They've been hanging out but not watching TV. And then somehow Alex actually covers that and says, I just, like, linked to this, like, signal that I just got from this planet or station that we just drove by. So he just got that signal from there. And he just saw the protests that happened as a result of the shit that they did. Or Holden did, more specifically, because none of them were on board with that message. Holden was. So Holden, the gun jumper, might have fucked up the world. The universe, sorry. And then they are like, hey, that message you sent? And then they were like, hey, when Fred Johnson said, hey, come to us, and he didn't know who we were? Did you tell him who we were? And he's like, no. And then he's like, well, he's gonna know when we get there, And I like that he's there, like, everybody knows your face. And Amos goes like, let me know if you want your face to look a little different. That's really good. It's really good. That's really good banter. And then he gives her like a pat. It's like, good job. That's good. I like that. Yeah, so Anderson Dawes gave Miller information regarding where this guy is. I don't know his name. I don't know if it's gonna matter. More than it matters right now. But the bald guy. The fucking bald guy that impaled Havelock and I think caused a problem in, like... Was it the same episode? I don't know. Miller heard him at gunpoint. And then Anderson Dahl showed up for the first time. That guy, he gave him information. This is where this guy is. Or more specifically, he gave him a contact that will probably give him the information to show him where he is. In exchange of information about Julie Mao. Miller, I don't know if he's taking the deal. He hasn't yet, but he might later. So we didn't know that. Oh, a little crumbs of Naomi backstory. Yeah, let's talk about that. So, something I want to mention. I like that Amos actually got scenes where he actually had self-conscious thought. No, not conscious. Like, he had independent thought in this episode, which I enjoyed. Because I feel like he didn't in the previous 3 episodes. Like, I feel like he didn't. I feel like he was just a goon of Naomi. Like a robot, almost. Like, whatever Naomi said, he would do. And given that's still mostly true, but in this episode, it feels like it's actually a character that feels a very strong debt, or not debt, but like something towards Naomi, and feels like he has to, like, not has to obey her, like, it's not like that, but it's like he will always back her up out of respect, love, I don't know, something going on, but out of that, right? So it feels in this episode more than anything that he actually has a personality, and that is not just dependent on Naomi. So that's something I enjoyed a lot. Like, I feel like this is the first episode he's like that. And we see him in the scene where, like, initially they're voting whether or not to accept Fred Johnson's offer, and Naomi says no, and then Amos says, like, I'm with you, I'll always back you up. But then he walks up to her when she's alone and goes like, hey, why do you not want to do that? Like, usually I always back you up, but usually I know why. But this time I have no idea, so do you want to talk about it? Can you tell me something? And she says that she's known guys like him. She hasn't necessarily known him specifically, but she has met the guys like him. People that would fight for causes that get people killed. And Amos convinces her not to, to actually go to Fred Johnson. He convinces her to do it, probably through, like, I think he literally just said, like, then where do we go? And then Naomi kind of, like, goes like, I don't know. Then we have this amazing scene when we see Holden at its happiest, which is where he sees coffee. And he goes like, yo, coffee. He just goes like, yo, and just like grabs it. It's like, yes. And then there's like no coffee beans. And he goes like, fuck. And he just starts looking for them. And then Emma shows up. And he goes like, tell Fred Johnson we're good for a bird. We're good to go. And he's like, you're going to visit Naomi? And he's like, well, we're a track record. We're probably going to get Taika blown up too. He just kind of laughs it off and walks away. And then we got another scene. Yeah, it was the scene where they were talking about the transmission. And he goes like, well, let me know if you want your face to look a little different. And it's like, I like that. I almost got actually, not one, but 2 scenes where he actually got character. I like that. Maybe more than that. I just don't remember. He was like drinking some shit too. And then Holden, when he found the fucking coffee beans, that's the happiest he's ever been. He's looking at it, smiling, and goes like, yes, I can get coffee. Like, holy shit, dude. I guess Holden loves coffee. I'm gonna write that down. Holden loves coffee. Like, that's the happiest I've ever seen that man. And it's just about coffee. But alright, there you go. I think that's it. Honestly, I think that's it for this episode. I think I talked about it. I covered everything that I needed to cover. But yeah. God, that was long. I thought it was shorter, but never mind. Okay, so that was it for Expanse episode 5. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode to The Expanse. If you would like to see next one, is already up on Patreon as well as full length. Check out the links in the description and I'll see you next time, okay? Take care.